Gray was only 13 years old when he made Talk About a Stranger, but he was already a show business veteran, having appeared in almost 50 movies since his on-screen debut at the age of 5 in 1943's Man of Courage. It helped that his mother, Beatrice Gray, was a busy actress herself. She made a stampede of B-westerns in the 1940s, often finding a spot in her home on the range for her real son. Now, Talk About a Stranger was certainly not the first film noir Billy Gray appeared in. You look closely, you'll find him horsing around in The Strange Affair of Uncle Harry, Suspense, The Strange Woman, The Gangster, Abandoned, Between Midnight and Dawn, and The Killer That Stalked New York. He even asks Humphrey Bogart for an autograph in Nick Ray's noir masterpiece, In a Lonely Place. Of course, these were all fleeting appearances. The role he's most remembered for was in the film he made just before this, The Day the Earth Stood Still, in which his character, Bobby Benson, gives a tour of the nation's capital to alien visitor Klaatu, played by Michael Rennie. Older viewers will also remember Billy Gray from his role as Bud Anderson, son of Robert Young and Jane Wyatt, on the popular 50s sitcom Father Knows Best. Now, if you've been watching Noir Alley regularly, then you know that several members of that all-American Anderson family, Mom, Pop, and little Bud, all had a short, dark double life in film noir. Now, Billy Gray's father in today's film, George Murphy, also had a double life, maybe even a triple life.
We're pretty good friends, aren't we, Bud? Anyway, we used to be.
After dropping out of Yale in the 1920s, Murphy led the knockaround life of so many people who ended up gravitating to Hollywood. He worked on auto assembly lines, as a coal miner, sold real estate, but the thing he was really good at was dancing, which ended up landing him roles in lots of Hollywood musicals, like the Broadway Melody of 1938 and 1940, and the big 1942 hit For Me and My Gal with Judy Garland and Gene Kelly. Like his performing doppelganger, Dick Powell, Murphy started appearing in more dramatic roles in the late 40s, pictures like The Arnello Affair, Battleground, and the noir thriller Border Incident. But Murphy's most important role in Hollywood may have been as the president of the Screen Actors Guild, a post he filled from 1944 to 46, tumultuous years in the industry, when all the talent and trade unions were pulled every which way by vying political factions. Now, that was Murphy's first taste of politics, and apparently he liked it. In 1953, he retired from acting and became a key figure in the California Republican Party. He also served as entertainment liaison to the White House in the 1950s, arranging the inaugural celebrations of Dwight Eisenhower and John F. Kennedy in 1961, back when American politicians still had some respect for their rivals. Murphy ran for office himself in 1964, winning a vacant seat in the California Senate, where he served until 1971. Murphy's co-star in today's film, Nancy Davis, had married Ronald Reagan the month before Talk About a Stranger was released. And Reagan made no bones about the fact that George Murphy was the model for his political career. To say he followed in his colleagues' footsteps is dead on. Reagan succeeded Murphy as the president of the Screen Actors Guild, became the governor of California in 1967, and of course, eventually president of the United States. It's not absurd to suggest that had he not contracted throat cancer in the late 60s, essentially putting an end to his political career, George Murphy may have been the first actor to run for and possibly win the presidency. As for the perceived villain in today's film, I remember Kurt Kasznar on the old Irwin Allen TV series, Land of the Giants. But what an incredible life this guy led before that. Born in Austria, he was headed for a career in his stepfather's restaurant business until he one day waited on Max Reinhardt, the most eminent theater impresario in Europe. He studied with Reinhardt and came to America with him in 1936, embarking on a busy stage career. It was interrupted by the war, where Kasznar served in the U.S. Army's photographic unit. He documented battles in the South Pacific, the Japanese surrender aboard the USS Missouri, and the aftermath of the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. From these experiences, he wrote a critically acclaimed one-act play called First Cousins, which he dedicated to the thousands of foreign-born American soldiers who fought for their adopted country. Although his accent and features relegated him to supporting roles in films, on stage, he created the character of Pozzo in Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot, and the character of Max Detweiler in the original stage production of The Sound of Music, the role played by Richard Haydn in the movie version. After gaining entree into the business by directing low-budget versions of timeless classics such as Peer Gynt and Julius Caesar, David Bradley learned that good taste only gets you so far in this business. It would be 6 years after Talk About a Stranger before he got another feature film gig, directing Fay Wray and Connie Stevens in the 1958 AIP classic Drag Strip Riot. There'd be only 2 more on his resume, 1960's 12 to the Moon and The Madman of Mandoras in 1963, later reissued as They Saved Hitler's Brain. But not every fledgling director gets to be Richard Fleischer or Anthony Mann. Share your thoughts about today's film on our Noir Alley Facebook page and Twitter feed. Do some online Christmas shopping in the Noir Alley store, and join us next week when we'll celebrate the holiday season with Ida Lupino and Robert Ryan in a tale of charity and goodwill that quickly goes to hell in a handyman's basket. Beware, my lovely. Until then,